Hello, beautiful people. Today I wanted to talk about something that is very important, especially at the beginning of the meditation practice and general in the spiritual journey, and that's how to deal with the ups and downs of practice. There's a famous saying by a Zen teacher who says the first 10 years are going to be difficult, the next 10 years are going to be even more difficult, but after that, everything gets easier. The reason why I wanted to talk about this topic today is because yesterday I was struggling a little bit. My morning session was rough, and then afterwards I could not practice. That happens quite often after sessions, or rather meditation retreats. Um, and that's a good thing. That means that stuff is coming up for some of us that we have to deal with. But generally, ups and downs of practice are something that can be a bit of a menace if we don't know how to deal with them. So I just wanted to basically share my experience with it and how I deal with it, how I have been dealing with it over the last few years. Just a couple of points. The first thing is to basically accept it. Accept that the practice, at the beginning, towards the middle, maybe at the end of it, after a number of years, is going to have ups and downs. We just accept it. There's a very famous Zen saying, Zen koan, and koans are basically questions that you cannot really answer intellectually. And this particular one is very beautiful, and I just love it. I read about it in the Three Pillars of Zen. It is this: from where you are, how do you stop a moving boat on the water? Once again, from where you're standing, how do you stop a moving boat on the water? Just think about it. And the answer to it is, and I just read it, it's not my koan, you become one with it. So the answer is basically, if you're cold, you dress for the cold weather. If it's hot, you dress for the warm weather, as the book says. If you're poor, you live within means within your poverty. If you're rich, you live within your means of being rich. Basically, when you become one with it and you do not separate that situation from yourself, it stops being a difficult situation. If you're having a bad day, just as my teacher always says, sit down and do angry zazen. Be upset, do zazen, do your meditation. If you're ecstatic, just sit down, do your meditation while you're ecstatic. Very often that becomes a problem because we make it a problem. We do not accept the state of mind that we are in, the ups and downs of the practice, and we turn it into a problem. And that was a big thing for me. I remember doing a number of retreats, one after another, and then being in this amazing state of mind. And then I would have to drive 30 hours back in wintertime, and I couldn't do meditation, and I would be so upset. I would hate life, and I would hate myself for being there. But after a while practicing, I realized that it doesn't really matter. Meditation is everything. While I'm driving, I started meditating on the landscapes, the people I saw, on the music that was playing, with the people. If people were talking to me, I would meditate on that. It's like the weather changes. Some is rainy, some is cold, some is sunny. It's the best thing is just accept it as it is, and there will be ups and downs in practice. There is no doubt about it. So the moments that we accept it and embrace it, it ceases to be a problem. Like most of the tension dissolves, so to speak. Very often the tension arises because we are unwilling to accept the state of mind we are in, or how our practice is going. Very often, as I was, we hold up an ideal of how practice should be, and that's my teacher is very keen and very observant about my practice. She tells me, don't get caught in states of mind. So the first step is just to accept it. There will be ups and downs. There will be good weather outside. There will be bad weather outside. We have to do our work outside. It is what it is. We just accept it. And we really focus on that extended breath, as my teacher always says, just focusing on it. And most of the tension will dissolve. And And I cannot tell you how many times. And one of the reasons why I don't feel that ups and downs that much anymore, because of experience. We all experience that. That sometimes we have the worst resistance, the worst feelings in the world while we're practicing, and then half an hour is gone, and we're just this amazing state of mind. So it can change at any moment. The moment we accept it, the moment we work with it, it dissolves, and it's just a beautiful practice. As the saying goes, if you're tired, just do tired meditation. If you're buzzing with coffee, just do buzzing with coffee meditation. We embrace it. We embrace it like a crying child. We embrace it like anything, with unconditional love. And when we do that, most of our resistance and the feeling of ups and downs sort of dissolves. That's the first point. The second point is, which one? Yeah. So the second point is that we practice with whatever comes up, because point number two is there is no good or bad practice. Something that my teacher always reminds me of. I go for my daily interview, and she says, "Oh, any questions, any comments?" And I say, "Oh, today practice was good." And she says, "What do you mean it was good?" And I realize, well, I got into flow. So there is no such thing as good or bad practice. When we practice, we practice. And later on, we realize that those worst times when we seem to struggle so much, that was the best practice, as my teacher always says. And the best times that we had, we thought we were doing so amazing, it was actually not such a good practice. To give you an example, when I was meditating myself, I would get into these beautiful states of mind. I would just feel ecstasy and joy. And I would tell my teacher, and for the longest time, I would try to get back into it and would be attached to it. But my teacher later on, after like a year of 6 months of practicing, and she guiding me, told me that, and I realized that those moments that I felt this utmost ecstasy and joy, that was actually not really real practice. It was really an addiction to that serene state of mind. So there is no such thing as good practice or bad practice. If you're sitting, if you're doing authentic meditation, if you're doing zazen, if you're doing Suzukan, which is the Rinzai way of focusing on extended breath and see where it takes you, there's no good, bad, or practice. As I already mentioned, the best feelings in the world that we may have don't matter really, and the worst feelings of resistance that we may have, for me, it would be sometimes like having cement in my gut, like just poured cement, a sense of heaviness. That could be the best practice. We don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's like going to the gym. You go to the gym if you're having a good day. You go to the gym if you're having a bad day. It doesn't matter, because the result is going to be the same thing. So that's something to keep in mind, and something that I really, really, really had to deal with. And I realized later on that I was really addicted to that uplifting feeling of meditation. My teacher told me and says, this is not real meditation. You have to be present in every moment and really focus on your breath. It doesn't matter. It's not chasing enlightenment. It's not chasing ecstasy and joy. It's not chasing happiness. It's just being open and going deeper, and not even going deeper, just we will go deeper automatically. But it's a sense of just seeing where we're caught in our conditioning, in our states of mind, and letting go, constantly letting go. So that's number two. There is no such thing as good or bad practice. And number three that comes to mind is the compound effect of practice. Sometimes when we do not feel doing the practice of meditation is what I'm referring to, or zazen in Zen, or any other practice that you may be practicing, it has a compound effect. So the times that we really don't want to do it is probably the times we will gain the most out of it, right? It may not seem a lot when we don't want to do it, when we don't want to sit down for meditation. It's usually when we need it the most. And that's when we go deeper in our practice. We may only be able to sit down for like half an hour when we're having a super bad day or just feeling this resistance. But this half an hour will compound or practice, and the next day or another time, we will go much deeper in our practice, where practice will, um, what's the word, mature significantly, because we did that little bit that we did not feel like doing. So it's the practice has a compound effect. The times that we don't want to do the practice, the times that we don't feel like doing the practice, the times that practice is the last thing we want to do, is probably what we need most, but also is the one that we benefit most from. If you're getting up at a Zen center and it's just sunny outside and you're sitting with 20 other people and you're doing practice, yeah, it's easy to practice. It's the times that you just feel wretched as you're on your own dealing with, struggling with some issues. That's very often when we get our best practice. It's that's I've had it so many times when I'm in a sesshin retreat, and I just feel wretched. I just want to drive off, eat some food, have a drink, have a cigar, and forget all about it. But when I insist in a way of dealing with that negativity, is when you get all the fruits, when you progress, when you just go deeper in your practice, and that's the best practice, really. So that's something to keep in mind. The compound effect of practice is the times that we struggle most can be the best times. To give you an example, exactly a week ago, I finished my last retreat, the last 7-day intensive sesshin. And 3 of those days, I think it was day 3 to 5, something like that, 3, 4, 5, those 3 days, I think, I was just struggling. I was just struggling so much. I wouldn't say suffering, because it's not true, but I was really struggling with my practice. I felt a tension in my gut. It was difficult to me practice. And I really did the felt sense, something that I very often talk about in my videos, something that my teacher really preaches. And every day I would just get a little bit of insight about why that resistance was. And on day 5, I think it was, that I realized that it was my attachment to the practice, this goal-orientedness that was keeping me away. It's just created tension. Listen, if somebody comes to you and wants to start an argument, if you start arguing with it and get into an argument, you lose, because you lose your state of mind. You feel negative. No matter, even if you win that argument, you still are distracted in your life. But if you truly have no intention of arguing with, it's just peace with yourself and everybody around you, they could come and argue with you to try to say something, and you're just positive. Oh yeah, sure, bro. Yeah, no problem, man. It's all good. Yeah, have a great day. And you really, sincerely, there's like nothing they can latch on. So it is the same thing in practice. Is just to really accept it, and knowing that those struggles that we have sometimes are very necessary. And those 3 days that I was struggling, what I was being taught by my practice is to let go, just to let go. And practice, according to my teacher, is constant letting go. In a way, we die to ourself, to our self-image, to who we think we are. And that can be difficult at times, but it's a good thing. So I realized in those 3 days that those 3 choppy days, those 3 days of struggle, were the best days, because I learned my negative conditioning. I learned that Zen is not a competition. I don't have to get better than God knows who. I don't need to be the next amazing Zen student. I really don't have to. I just want to be happy. I want to be content, and I want to just love my practice and go deeper every day for the rest of my life, or whatever it will unfold. And when I let go of my expectation, when I did let go of my attachment to my practice, boy, oh boy, day 6 and 7, especially day 7, it was just magic. It was effortless. It was magic. It was beautiful. And that's why I was so very much grateful for those struggles. I realized that those struggles are not really struggles, but just another phase of the practice. So that's point number 3. What else comes to mind? Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to mention is to not get attached to anything that comes up. Sometimes negativity comes up, just experience it, let it go. Sometimes you see your ugly face, as I do in my practice. Sometimes you feel seething self-hatred, and I don't know why I have this. I think I know what I have this because I had a lot of complex trauma, and I was harassed and bullied when I was a kid, which is actually an amazing experience in its own, in hindsight. But I had this toxic shame that sometimes comes up still, and I have to deal with it. But you don't get engaged with it. It's like somebody on the street trying to pick you an argument with you. You just say, "Ah, yeah, how are you doing? I'm sorry you feel that way. Have a good day." You walk away. So the important thing is not to get attached to anything that you see. It could be an amazing thing. It could be this beautiful woman talking to you in your meditation, as it happened to me in my earlier ones, which is Makia, which is your ego trying to distract you. It could be sexual things coming up, and or it could be anger. It could be violence. Somebody did you wrong like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and you just want revenge. You just experience it, you feel it, you let it go. And if it lingers, I do the felt sense, and you just experience it and you let it go. It's just, you can't win with these things. You just have, it's not you. Those things, those thoughts, those feelings are not real. They just figment of our imagination. Yes, something bad happened to us 10, 15, 20 years ago. Yes, somebody did us wrong. So what? It's not real. It was that time you dealt with it. You're here. You're okay. So these are some of the important points to keep in mind. And the final thing that I wanted to say, and it's very, very important, and only recently did I think about it really, and it's this: it's having faith in it, really. It's just having faith in the process. And what I'm trying to say is, no matter where you are in your meditation retreat, in your Zen center, in your whatever form of meditation you're pursuing, whatever meditation center you're at, if you're at the proper one, if you're at the authentic place, there will be 1, 2, 3 people who have already achieved what you want. They have achieved samadhi, let us say. They have achieved enlightenment. A good teacher has experienced enlightenment and can guide you. They have achieved all those things that are catchphrases now, non-duality, all those things. But even like enlightenment, experience of enlightenment, there are people who have reached it. In my last session, there was a gentleman, just a lovely person, who didn't even look, so I found out later on he was 74. He looked maybe 50. And he had practiced for a long time, and you could just see it in his face that when he got into this practice, he got to this deep place. And if you realize that, you recognize that what you want to achieve, and meditation is not about achieving anything, but just let us say you want to achieve something in your practice, the results of it, there is somebody who has reached it. There's somebody sitting in the same meditation hall that you are, who has gone through those difficulties that you have, that you and I have achieved those milestones of samadhi, of enlightenment, of Kensho. Kensho is just an awakening experience in Rinzai Zen. They have achieved it. So there's nothing to fear. There is, I am reminded again and again in all the spiritual texts, especially like the Bible and the Old Testament, the most repeated phrase is, do not fear, do not be afraid. So whatever comes up in your meditation, good, bad, whatever it may be, just realize there are people who have successfully, victoriously overcome those things. And there is always guidance. You always can ask the assistant teacher. You can always ask the teacher. You can always ask someone ahead of you, and they will show you the roadmap. They will guide you. And there really is nothing to fear. There really isn't. Um, and the one more point while we're at it. Another thing in meditation to keep in mind, and that's the opposite of a struggle, is quite often, and this is a video of its own, quite often delightful things come up. I know, I think it was a couple of months ago, maybe 6 months ago, I was at the sesshin, and every time I closed my eyes, I would see this beautiful woman with the perfect hair, perfect teeth, perfect ethnic background, perfect jeans, perfect high heels, perfect accent, perfect voice, perfect family, just talking to me. As odd as it sounds, and every time I would close my eyes, she would just like talk to me, and it wasn't a weird thing or anything. And I realized that it was Makyo. Makyo is basically a part of you that does not want to reach freedom, and it tries to distract you. And I just laughed. I really laughed, and I kept my eyes open, and I just laughed and I let it go. I saw it. I experienced it. I let it go. So sometimes the opposite is true. Sometimes we get distracted. Sometimes we feel like we're uplifted, and that upliftment also is as insidious, as destructive as those negative feelings, because they can distract you. I don't know how many times my first sessions I would just running into the assistant teacher's room for my morning interview, and I was just saying, "Oh, I feel great. I want to change my life. I want to start a charity." And she was like, "No, no, 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 no. You're here for meditation. You have 3 days left. Focus on this. This is Makyo." So sometimes those delightful feelings and thoughts install us in our path. So that's something also to be careful of. Having said that, let's have no fear. Whatever struggles we are having, somebody else in our group has had it successfully, overcome it, has overcome it. There is joy and happiness in the world. It is a beautiful world. There are beautiful people in this world. Beautiful teachers, beautiful assistant teachers, beautiful teachings that will guide us on the right path. Life is good. Life is amazing. Life is incredible. Just life is so incredible. Imagine we're in the universe and we're alive right now, flesh and bones, able to experience this blue, watery, beautiful planet. With birds singing, with people singing songs, watching the sunrise, watching the sunset, eating good food, loving people. What more can we ask for? So that's it. Let's go forward in our practice, and let's push everything to the limit today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you in some way, shape, or form. And I look forward to talking to you next time. Have a great day.